Greetings, welcome to my channel. I thank you for stopping by. I truly appreciate your support. If you are already a subscriber, welcome back. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a subscriber, bear with me. New to the channel, I am Fly444. My name is Lenine. Fly444 is me being on the right track by first loving me. Yes, that's what we have to do. You first. First love you. So today's video is about business plans. And what I am doing, I am going back and I am revisiting my business plan for where Fly444 started. So I am working with a book called How to Write a Business Plan by Nolo, and an essential book to help entrepreneurs. Dallas Morning News. Step-by-step advice on preparing a business plan. Nolo is passionate about making the law accessible to everyone. Our high-quality books, software, legal forms, and online lawyer directory have helped millions of people find answers to their everyday legal and business questions. So what I am doing, I am using Nolo to guide me in a more concrete business plan so that I can grow and thrive, prepare sound financial statements, and raise the money that I need to take Fly444 to another level. So this channel, I am again Fly444. I do all things travel. So on this channel, you get all kinds of things, my ups, my downs, my how-tos, my acclamations, my affirmations, my just daily shenanigans, ups, downs. So now Fly444, we're gonna go back. Let me travel back to where it actually started in Atlanta, Georgia, with Priester Studios and RDCAD Resources. However, when working with RDCAD Resources, our doctor, it never officially launched because I had Detroit on my mind. So our doctor was actually our Detroit resources for the nonprofit bringing to the city for strengthening families. However, I found myself as my first client, whereas when entering in this phase of the nonprofit world and coming to introduce the work in which I had been doing since 2007. And see, I landed back in Detroit in the end of 2011, first quarter of 2012, and started a nonprofit organization called Strengthening Families Metro Detroit. And under Strengthening Families Metro Detroit is where we push for the parent to use their voice, and we had 4 areas of focus: health, education, growth, and safety, looking to develop a system of care, meaning a system thinking about the parent-child as the core, the center of attention, and wrap around services to build them up, strengthen family. And where we strengthen family, we strengthen community. And so in that, I found where I was having reactions to adverse childhood experiences, if you are familiar with ACE. So in short, I am the product of Fly444. in the aspect of growth, self-sufficiency, not wanting to depend on anyone but myself. And yes, I do have a job, a daytime job, in which I work for corporate America. And if you're familiar with corporate America and the greed, and where it seems like they have their foot on our necks, like we have to move at every pecking order, it's starting to be a little irritating to me, as I don't do well with people bossing me, especially when it seems as if they really don't know their position and they're taking their title, to the extreme and using their authority. So we clash a lot. So I don't work well like that. I've always been more so in my 54 years an entrepreneur, self-employed. So me being with the company that I'm with now is like long running. This is the longest I've ever worked for anyone besides myself. So that being said, I'm coming back to visit my original, well, one of my original business plans, which was strengthening families. And so while doing the research, or going back to pull this up, I came across an interesting email, as I said, and I reflect on friends who I thought was gonna go places with me. And I'm thinking about a statement Jeezy just made when he said, I'm not worried about, I'm only focused right now on who I am becoming and not who will be coming with me. So with that said, I want to read this email that was sent to a former ex friend of mine's, or I thought was a friend, but an op, on September the 19th. Saturday, August 19th, 2017, at 3:02 p.m. I sent this message, and it reads, "Hey there, I'm so excited as I reflect on my life. God is so amazing. Talk about guide my footsteps and order the steps. I say astonished. Of course, I have to make several changes and add other revenue streams, but on my way. I also learned of some additional credits I can add to my name that involve Beyonce and $1 million. I'm lit watching the success of folks I've encountered using my talents to market their talents as a token of success. Anywho, I am so looking forward to working next to and with you that I don't know what to do. Who knew my dinners and conversations would have you as the $1 million," I won't say what, because then you might be able to pinpoint who it is and give no more rising up. But it was cheers to us, and unfortunately, in best regards, that did not happen. And it was signed, my name, and I'm noticing that Strengthening Families Metro Detroit, we made it to the level of being incorporated. However, at that point, it halted. And the reason why, two instances that left me, I want to say, in a state of shock. I had a meltdown and had to take a break. Reason being, the organization was put in place to help parents understand that they have a voice, a strong voice, one of the most important voices in their child's life, and it was important to use it. And so two things happened, or two incidents happened that frightened me. We'll start with one of the board members who came on board, a male figure around the same age as I and the other individuals who was also a part of the board. At the time, there were 4 of us. And so it was brought to my attention that not only was this board member cheating on his mate, which was one of the grounds for removal from our presence as we work to try to better our environment and strengthen families, having an issue of infidelity and a lack of trust. It was like zero tolerance. We couldn't accept it. So we kind of had to take a break. And his name, he had signed paperwork. And so just to not have to go through the fight, we just ceased in having activities and let the years go by until it was time to go renew. And then once we went to renew, we renewed without his name on any documents. And so, but that wasn't the kicker about the cheating part. The kicker was one of our main goals of one of our programs under the umbrella of Strengthening Families Metro Detroit was I am a national facilitator for Darkness to Light, Stewards of Children, in which is a child sexual abuse awareness and prevention program. So then we have this gentleman who's sexing a 17-year-old, which was a no. And so we abruptly had to end that relationship. But that wasn't the kicker. The kicker was we were invited to a church service for a youth lock-in called, I want to say it was the Mayflower Baptist Church, located on the west side of Detroit, roughly like Grand Boulevard and I want to say Linwood area. And so when attending the function at the time, my youngest daughter and my grandson were 5, 6, 7 years old. Not old enough to just be left at a sleep-in with persons that we don't know. But we were welcome to do that. However, through my experience and my trainings, things that I witnessed during the sleep-in, I just didn't sit right with me. So we decided we would stay for a little while and then we would head on home. And so I'm thankful for the trainings that I had prior to that would alert me on the do's and the don'ts when servicing minors, youth, that I was able to better protect my children at the time. Because yes, we left. I didn't feel it was appropriate. They didn't have the children where they were separated off per age groups or chaperones, It just was just a little bit too much movement around and not enough security measures in place to ensure that these children would be safe from any harm, if you know what I mean. So anyway, long story short, a couple of days after the event took place, I'm at work working. I get a phone call from my then husband, who is hysterical. He's about screaming for me to somehow get to the news channel and the television and turn it on. And so when I did, I saw a Detroit police officer, Jeffrey Townsend, I believe was his name, who had been arrested and being charged for his youth organization, a nonprofit organization in which he started, called Reality Check Detroit, where, as a matter of fact, I want to make sure that I get this correctly. So what I'm going to do, Reality Check Detroit, I'm going to pull it up and see if I can get the story. Jeffrey Townsend was his name. Ex-Detroit police officer receives 10 to 15 year prison sentence for statutory RA, the R word, convictions. It was updated on September the 23rd, 2013. 10 years. That was 10 years ago. So he should possibly be getting out now, huh? Pontiac, Michigan. Jeffrey Townsend, a former Detroit police officer. This was fburnsmlive.com. Gus Burns wrote this story for Michigan Live, and so it reads, and I quote, Pontiac, Michigan, Jeffrey Townsend, a former Detroit police officer who founded Reality Check Detroit, a nonprofit prevention program for youth aged 6 to 14, has been found guilty of illegal sexual conduct with students in his program. Oakland County Circuit Judge Martha D. Anderson on Monday sentenced 46-year-old Townsend to between 10 and 15 years in prison after his convictions on 5 counts of criminal sexual conduct with a child between 13 and 15, according to court records. Although there is still an active website linked to Townsend's organization, a 12-week reinstruction program for at-risk and struggling youth. A Facebook link for the nonprofit leads to a dead URL. MLive could not reach anyone affiliated with the program for comment Monday afternoon. It takes a village to raise a child. Where do you fit in? Jeffrey Townsend says, a quote on the website's banner. According to a section of the website that discusses Townsend and his background, the Reality Check website says Townsend has 3 children. Wow. Unquote. It ends there. It just abruptly ends there. So that was very disturbing to me. And the reason why is because I had given this man a business card. He had given me a business card, and we had started the process on to where we were going to begin to work with one another. I was going to bring him into my organization, Strengthening Families Metro Detroit, and have him on as guest speaker, keynote speaker, and credible, Reality Check Detroit nonprofit organization, ran created and ran by a Detroit officer sworn to protect and serve. I mean, the presentation that he did on that evening, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was like the youngest of 15 children, not able to read or write like on an elementary school level. And his presentation, he cried, poured out tears, was so emotional, just really touched the audience in his speaking, to I was really, really touched and wanted to work with him. And so I can't even begin to explain, but I had a meltdown after this here took place, with the news reports daily, and hearing the report of the young lady and how he was grooming. It just really, like, I could not believe that I was about to bring this man around and give to him more children in which he could have possibly had harmed. So it took me a minute, but I had to get back up. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. I sit today in my pain, my anger, my bitterness, my resentment, and I think about if I had someone to save me from predators like this type of foolery. And so again, I go back to say, I am my first client for Fly for 44. First Love You. And again, I go back to where it all started. It's my Strengthening Families Metro Detroit business plan. And so in this plan, it is a 51-page plan. The table of contents consists of the executive summary, the company background, mission and vision, the value statements, an environmental scan, the external operating environment, internal competitive environment, a SWOT analysis. SWOT, SWOT, S for strength, W for weaknesses, O for opportunities, and T for trends, but I'm going to add another T when I go back to this, for threats. Resource-based view, strategies and recommendations, implementation plan, the objectives, the action items, the functional tactics, milestones and deadlines, tasks, task assignment and resource allocation, organizational change, management strategy, key success factors analyzed, the Strengthening Families Metro Detroit Fiscal 2013 operational budget, forecasted financials, break-even chart, risk management plan and contingencies, schedules, and following up with references. So, where I sit today, I'm picking back up from where I started from 10 years ago. I say I've really have worked on myself. I've cut in deep, rooted traumas. And no, I'm not there yet. To be honest, I've really just begun. I've really just begun. So again, I'm going back to the vision. God says to write the vision and make it plain. So here I am with the vision. And I'm going to read from my executive summary. which gives, summarize the whole. Strengthening Families Metro Detroit facilitates parent, caregiver, and youth voice and action at home, in schools, and in communities. Parent, caregiver, and relatives of children have shared stories of daily struggles in surviving these tough economical times, in building strong family and attending academic needs, particularly the feeling of hopelessness with the loss of jobs and high rate of unemployment, school closings, low performing schools, foreclosures, rise in homicides, and missing women and children. Leaders are grappling with the fact that Detroit's youth population overrepresented in juvenile detention centers and morgues, and underrepresented in service assets. Michigan is second in the nation to youth receiving life sentences. Parent caregiver leadership creates relationships and supports necessary to raise strong, healthy, and vibrant children. Social services are working harder with less. At the same time, the school dropout rate for children of color is increasing. Child protective services are overloaded, and families live in fear of children's safety. Shelters are busier than ever, and we have a rising number of homeless children. The prevention field, without parent caregiver leadership, will not be sufficient to build and sustain relationships that network parent caregivers with each other for what matters when it matters. These casual relationships are the basics of resiliency in families. Facilitating parent caregiver leadership is a key component to significantly impact children in our community. Family Support America describes this as any role or activity that enables participating families to have direct and meaningful input into and influence on systems, policies, programs, or practices affecting services or community life for children and families. The scope of community, policy, and practice required to impact county outcomes require Strengthening Families Metro Detroit to develop partnerships with parent caregivers. Strengthening Families. Strengthening Families. Strengthening. Whoa, where I go? Strengthening Families Metro Detroit strategies will use existing strengths of parent caregiver leaders and the faith-based community to accelerate the pace of positive community change. I'm going to stop right there because this was another blockage when it came to the faith-based organization. So, I've been stagnant with my current job. I've been overwhelmed with no days off except on Sundays and my vacation days, which my vacation time is spent developing my home base travel business. So you see me traveling a lot. In fact, the background of majority for all my videos deals with my travel experiences, whether here in the States or abroad. I simply just play I have so much content, from pictures to video clips, that I just compile them up in my videos, and then I do commentary on top. Sometimes my words might flow with them, or sometimes it's no relation. It's just something to watch. I stopped here. I had a thought when it came to the strategies to be used with the faith-based community to accelerate the pace of positive community change. Now, with that being said, you have to check out the YouTuber Dawson Speaks. Please check him out. Dawson Speaks, because he's exposing so much when it comes to the faith-based community. And once you check him out, you can come back here and you'll have a better understanding of where I'm trying to go with this when we talk about the faith-based community. I can say it was like pulling teeth trying to get assistance from the faith-based community for after-school programs and projects for our little ones. It seemed that we can get a better participation when we speak on juvenile detention centers being developed, built. Go more. So that makes me think of the pipeline from the schoolyard to the prison yard. You know, it's a lot. So in that, I started with the Strengthening Families Metro Detroit as a nonprofit. Kind of had to sit down and running into a brick wall with that, and not being able to see the devils, the wolves in sheep clothing right smack in front of us, mingling within, as we know that predators target organizations where they have easy access to get to our children. So I'll say these past 10 years I've worked day in and day out for the development of myself, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially. And no, I'm not there, but yes, I'm definitely further along than where I was 10 years ago. More aware, more stable, emotionally and financially and spiritually. Dawson Speaks. Again, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to be demonetized and saying certain words that I'm not supposed to use. But Dawson Speaks. Please go and check him out. Hear what he has to say about our local pastors. Okay? So, Strengthening Families' current dinner and conversations schedule will run throughout the course of 2013-2014. Of course, we did not have dinner and conversation. Again, like I said, after the encounter with the officer, ex-police officer Jeffrey Townsend, I had to sit down for a moment. That almost took me out, to just have the thought of my bringing this predator in It almost took me out. But God. But God. The core facilitator group of these conversations will be an extension of Strengthening Families Metro Detroit. They will be parent caregiver leaders from diverse communities and neighborhood school districts receiving Title I funding. That was another thing. Being in a school, remember I said there was an area, 4 focused areas: health, safety, education, and growth for a system of care. And working with the Detroit Parent Network, I was able to get into the school system where I had access to parents. Again, the thing there was parent participation, the lack of parent participation, being many single family homes, and the schedule, the time of meetings wasn't complementary to the parents and their schedule, so it was a bit difficult. The charge is to initiate and energize parent caregiver partnerships in academics, advocacy, service, and building community. The facilitators will formulate direction for parent caregivers and youth participants and work to garner in-kind community support. Activities conducted in the neighborhood by people from neighborhood, ensuring cultural relevance and community asset building. Strengthening Families Metro Detroit conversation points based on the protective factors the Center of the Study of Social Policy deemed necessary for families to raise thriving children, along with leadership and partnership. Strengthening Families in Metro Detroit, estimating at least 24 dinner conversations to engage community partners and leaders. We had a plan to host 2 conversations a month. Activities conducted in the neighborhood by people from neighborhood, ensuring cultural relevance. Okay, said that. Let me go back. But not limited to. Partner organizations will work with emerging parent, caregiver, and youth leaders to create a community norm for the dinner conversation approach and family support premises and principles. Organizations will work together in such a way that they will develop neighborhood capacity to support families. Participants will grow I'm trying to enlarge. You know what? This is going to do better. I'm sorry. Bear with me. Bear with me. I'm having to go back in. I'm trying to read from a dual screen and this is actually a bit too small. For my eyes. So I just had to just come in and just open up the entire document and just go from there. Okay, so again, bear with me. So organizations will work together. Okay, I said that participants will grow parent caregiver leadership and mentoring skills, become an important vehicle for critical qualitative data, and increase parent caregiver voice for practices that help children thrive socially, emotionally, and economically, or academically, I'm sorry. But economically too. Definitely, since after this pandemic we just endured. So, company background. And we're at Strengthening Families. Again, we're going back to the roots of Fly for 44, revisiting my business plan. So much been going on, kind of like all over the place, but again, all things travel. I am a travel agent. I book all sorts of things pertaining to travel, any and all things travel, from cruises, hotels, excursions, events, flights. But I don't like to do just flights. If you're flying somewhere, you got to be staying somewhere and possibly renting a car and going off touring the city. But anyway, go back. Company background, strengthening families. How I got started with this. In 2001, the Doris Duke Foundation, with funding, reached out to the Center for the Study of Social Policy to research and find an innovative way in which early care and education programs across the country could play a role in the prevention of child maltreatment. There was a link in research between the prevention of child abuse and neglect, quality child care, and education programs. The Strengthening Families Protective Framework and approach developed as a result. This framework involves building evidence-based protective factors around children and their families by working with families in a non-traditional way while promoting 3 levers for change. 1. Parent-caregiver partnership. 2. Policy and system changes. And 3. Professional development. The Center for the Study of Social Policy studied exemplary programs, practitioners across states, and found how to build protective factors to support early childhood programs, policymakers, and advocates in making small but significant changes that build 5 specific protective factors. 7 states initially chosen to pilot the use of the framework were engaged in Strengthening Families Learning Network from 2005 to 2007. These states worked to enhance their policies and practices through collaboration among the early childhood, child abuse prevention, and child protective service sectors. The work was studied and documented to demonstrate how strengthening families could best be implemented through state policy making, new links between the early childhood education and child protection, training, and support for programs. By February 2008, 23 states had linked to the network, including national organizations incorporating the 5 protective factors approach into their work. As the number of states implementing strengthening families has grown, so has the interest in utilizing the approach in other fields and other sectors. Strengthening Families Metro Detroit is a developing community-based nonprofit organization led by parents who are guided by the Strengthening Families Protective Factors framework. Now keep in mind, it's been 10 years. This project has been sitting for 10 years due to hiccups from male involvement. No dig on the males, because the females abuse too. But at the time, I wasn't strong enough in my spiritual flow and being able to really discern. It's very important that we're able to discern the spirits between good and evil. It's a must that we keep our children safe. The framework and approach adopted as CSSP's research show where studies support the common sense notion that when these protective factors, parental resilience, social connections, concrete supports in time of need, knowledge of parenting and child development, and nurturing and attachment are well established in a family, the likelihood of a child abuse and neglect diminishes. And research shows that these protective factors are also promotive factors that build family strength and a family environment that promotes optimal child and youth development. Now I want to go in because this. Please bear with me and stick with me. I know this is a lot, it's much, but it's critical. It is critical. We're in a we've hit a rough patch. This world has gone to shits. It has. Again, you got to check out Dawson Speaks. Let me go back. I want to give definition to these 5 protective factors. And it's been a minute. This is 10 years, but it's still the 5 basic protective factors. The last I looked, probably about 5 years ago, there were 3 more added, 8. But we're going to stay with the 5 basic for now. On your own, you can check with the Center for the Study of Social Policy, their Strengthening Families initiative. Get on board to, any updates that may have taken place. And you can reach out to Senior Fellow Kaylin O'Connor, and she can definitely fill you in. She's a mover and shaker. But on to the definitions. Parental resilience. That's resilient is my middle name. No one can eliminate stress from parenting, but a parent caregiver's capacity for resilience can affect how a parent caregiver deals with stress. Resilience is the ability to manage and bounce back from all types of challenges that emerge in every family's life. It means finding ways to solve problems, building and sustaining trusting relationships, including relationships with your own child, and knowing how to seek help when necessary. And again, I say my middle name is Resilience. And in this, God has not finished with me yet. He's still at work. Because the trust is something that I still to this day struggle with. And it seems the older I get, the more I don't trust people. But anyway, social connections. Friends, family members, neighbors, and community members provide emotional support, help solve problems, offer caregiving advice, and give concrete assistance to parent and caregivers. Networks of support are essential to parent caregivers and offer opportunities for people to give back, an important part of self-esteem as well as a benefit for the community. Isolated families may need extra help in reaching out to build positive relationships. 3. Concrete supports in time of need. Meeting basic economic needs like food, shelter, clothing, and health care is essential for families to thrive. That's that Maslow law. Likewise, when families encounter a crisis such as DV, mental illness, substance abuse, adequate services and supports need to be in place to provide stability, treatment, and help to family members to get through the crisis. This is where that system of care comes in. It's like this circle that we have. In that circle, we have someone in that circle that has a craft, in their own lane. Their gift complements, our gifts complement one another. a system of care. Knowledge of parenting and child development. Accurate information about child development and appropriate expectations for children's behavior at every age help parent caregivers see their children and youth in a positive light and promote their healthy development. Information can come from many sources, including family members as well as parent caregiver education classes and surfing the internet. Studies show information is most effective when it comes at the precise time a parent or caregiver is in need to understand their own children. Parent caregivers who experience harsh discipline or other negative childhood experiences may need extra help to change the care patterns they learned as a child. I want to tap into that a little bit more. The knowledge of parenting and child development is very, very critical. I speak in terms of being the oldest child and how I was raised. There was 5 of us, though my youngest brother wasn't raised with us, so I'm going to say it was 4 of us. But the 4 of us, the one that's up under me is 2.5 years younger than me, and then the next one is 3.5, then the next one is 4.5. We should have been held, responsible and accountable as one, not me as the oldest being responsible for them, because that did not work. It did not work at all. And the discipline, my discipline, was harsh, because I took the bulk of all the ass whoopings. Things wasn't right. She was coming straight to me. Not us, but me. In fact, I started calling them the Lion Trio, because they was so close. They 1 apart in age. I'm the oldest. They stuck together is what I said. And they always lied on me. So much to, in our adulthood, not even at adulthood, I was gone at 16 and haven't looked back. That harsh discipline and negative childhood experience is why we deal with some of the ugliness that we deal with in society. It's ACE. Adverse childhood experiences cause adverse reactions. But anyway, on to the 5th, which is social and emotional competence of children. A child or youth's ability to interact positively with others, self-regulate their behavior, and effectively communicate their feelings has positive impact on their relationships with their family, other adults, and peers. Challenging behaviors or delayed development create extra stress for families, so early identification and assistance for both parent caregivers and children can head off negative results and keep development on track. I had to tap into this too, because at the age of 36 I learned that I wasn't emotionally developed, and at the age of 54 I still struggle at times to communicate effectively, communicate my feelings in a positive, effective way. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Folks, Captain here, we did a missed approach there on short final, had an aircraft on the runway, but we're going to get the short pattern here. And
Strengthening Families is a strength-based initiative initially developed. Well, Strengthening Families Metro Detroit was initially developed under Abundant Faith Church, now known as the Revolution Church. Well, I don't know what it's known as in 2023, but it was convened in April and May of 2011 to promote and facilitate a broad-based partnership via the community cafe approach. And we'll talk about what the community cafe approach is in a separate video. But in brief, in efforts of strengthening families, beginning with the conversations that matter, it's a community cafe approach, where we seek to build community partnerships of people working together in a system of care, caring community. A vision of mine, Strengthening Families Metro Detroit president, who had teamed up with other parents working to make measurable differences in our community. Again, there were 4 of us working to develop the system of care, and we had to take a hiatus. But I'm slowly moving to get this to going back, and I'm going to scroll on down here to, I want to go to some of the programs. So as I scroll through this old business plan, I'm looking at the bios. Right now I'm going through the bios from the president to the vice president to the treasurer to the secretary. We had some great members on the team. The small team we had, we were solid. So now I am at the vision, the mission, vision, and value statements for Strengthening Families Metro Detroit. The mission: to help build parental resilience, social connections, knowledge of parenting and child development, concrete support in times of need, social and emotional competence, and nurturing and attachment within families. That's the mission. The vision: Strengthening Families Metro Detroit, short SFMD. Vision is promoting and facilitating broad-based partnerships and efforts of improving outcomes for children, families, and communities using a dinner and conversation approach, a technique to solicit from community questions that matter for conversations that matter. Strengthening Families Metro Detroit envision equal opportunities and better futures for all children, families, and communities, especially those most often left behind. A community-driven, family-focused system of care, caring community with the capacity to serve varying needs of diverse families. All programs servicing children, youth, and families are nurturers of protective factors proven to prevent child abuse and neglect and promote social and emotional well-being. As a result, more and more organizations are engaging caregivers and youth. Parent caregivers are well-informed leaders and effective advocates for their children and families, and children and young adults are becoming leaders. The value statements. Our value statements. SFMD support parent caregiver-led activities in which promote practice that support empowering families and professional development. SFMD support child-centered and family-focused services and programs. SFMD support effective, comprehensive, and coordinated strategies specific to diverse needs of families. SFMD supports provided in least restrictive environment as possible. SFMD supports are responsive to the cultural, racial, and ethnic differences within communities served. SFMD supports driven by the community needs and lack of available programs and services. SFMD support transparency and accountability. We then had an environmental scan, remote environmental scan. I'm trying to get down. So this is where are we now? Doesn't indicate what page. Oh, I'm on page 19 and we have 51 pages. So actually, this is what I'm going to do. No, I'm going to keep going because I see I still have background in my video. So if you're still there, if you can hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up. Again, bear with me. I know this is long. I'm having to go back to the drawing board. Not starting over from scratch, but doing some tweaks for my business. Again, I am my first project for the Strengthening Families Metro Detroit. Under the umbrella of Strengthening Families Metro Detroit are a few programs. And I'm scrolling down to where these programs are. One added on was Fly for 44. I am about to get this done. Do y'all hear me? I'm about to get this done. I am about to make this happen. Playtime is over. Strategies and recommendations. Supporting ideas that give a sense of community ownership is a recommendation for Strengthening Families Metro Detroit to gain a competitive advantage, as people tend to do more when feeling a sense of empowerment and ownership. Working collaboratively versus individually through linkages between partners, developing and nurturing relationships, and focusing directly on the attributes of Strengthening Families Metro Detroit products and services are actions that will form the basis of product differentiation. When compared against any community or state organization not connected to Strengthening Families Network, operational excellence, customer intimacy, and product leadership are focuses. Strengthening Families Metro Detroit, an organization should be conscious of bringing value to customers served. Profitability. Need to attain an acceptable level of profits, productivity, input-output relationship, competitive position based on total membership, training, sales, or market share, partner development, education, training, and professional development, partner relations, needs and expectations, technical leadership, season, social networking opportunity, public responsibility, responsible corporate citizens, establish objectives for charitable educational contribution, minority training, and community welfare. This is 7 areas of focus for long-term goals and objectives. Bear with me. Strategies combining concentration growth, market development, product development, strategic alliances. Have an implementation plan. Planning the work to work in the plan. Now here, the implementation plan. At this point, the likelihood of success exists only if strategy chosen translated into carefully implementing action plan. The plan requires an ability to sustain unforeseen circumstances, internal factors, conditions, and developments that may cause adjustments in plan. Area for constant focus are survival, growth, and prosperity, whatever that the matter, realizing key options for reaching uncertainty and innovation and entrepreneurship. Remember that. Make note of that. Entrepreneurship. We looking for self-sufficiency, you guys. I am my first project. The ultimate goal, the long short-term objectives and action plans guide implementation by converting long-term objectives into short-term actions and targets. The long-term objective for strengthening families is that milestones met in such a way that an effective, community-driven, family-focused system of care serving diverse family needs is fully developed. Change measured in processes and how organizations share information, attitudes, and social behaviors, the statistics and data collections will show our measurements for success. I am super excited. There are 4 elements. The 4 elements of the plan again: concentrated growth, market development, product development, and strategic alliances. Remember those protective factors. We then had a table of tasks that folks were supposed to take on to get done. Many of them were done, but not all. One of our models in getting things done was to galvanize, pull together a top team dedicated to the renewal of the Detroit community and influence resources available. Simplicity, cut unnecessary and confusing complexity to organizations' partnership using simple memorandum of understanding. Develop new capabilities and opportunities with focus on hard to reach partners and place-based recruiting. And leverage, maintain the momentum and stretch the advantages of collaboration and effective communications. That's our 4 steps to change and management. Establishing a sense of urgency, forming a powerful guiding coalition, working the vision and keeping it plain, communicating the vision, ongoing marketing and promotions, empowering others, planning and creating short-term wins, consolidating improvements and producing more changes and institutionalizing new approaches. These are steps for transformation. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop here. Oh, let me go back. I didn't do the 6 steps. We have 6 steps to effective change. Mobilize commitment to change. Develop a shared vision for organizing and managing. Foster consensus for new vision. Competence to enact and cohesion to move. Spread revitalization without being pushy. Institutionalize revitalization through formal policies, systems, and structures. And monitor and adjust strategies in response to problems. We have our budget. We have our forecasted financials with assumptions. We even did a break-even analysis. We put in some work on this plan. We did a risk management and contingencies. Oh, let me read this risk management and contingencies. We had it there. We had it there. And then we ran into it. And like I said, who would think that you're going to get harmed by a police officer? You know, you're thinking your child is safe, right? But anyway, our risk management and contingencies, it read, prevention of child abuse and neglect is a job for everyone. Adults are responsible for the well-being and safety of children. Knowing this, organizations across the United States are teaming up to prevent child maltreatment and promote emotional and social well-being. According to Bernie, 2007, risk management and cost sharing seems to be at the heart of new alliances in the automobile industry. Strengthening Families Metro Detroit found fitting for nonprofit industry as well, creating a new normal. Members of the Strengthening Families Network share best practices, funding streams, research and development, and cost of materials. This is necessary for an effective system change. Community and multi-system leaders act to build sustainable infrastructure through key levers for change: parent-caregiver partnership, policy and system change, and professional development. Strengthening families' possible risks include, but not limited to, collusion occurs. Tacit collusion occurs due to social setting of Strengthening Families Network. As an organization who services children, we run the risk of exposing a child to a pedophile. I said this earlier. Pedophiles prey on organizations like Strengthening Families Detroit, believing they may have easy access to children. Confidentiality leaked when sharing across agencies or systems. Strengthening Families Metro Detroit is negatively affected by partner actions. A child or family member injured while participating at a Strengthening Families function, and ways one can cheat in a strategic alliance. These are risks. So, how we would deal with the risks. 1, prepare for potential risks mentioned with communications. Plan for effective communicating. Staffing and volunteer trainings reserved for abuse prevention and awareness, along with background checks. We want to go deep, not just city to city, but and county to county, but across state lines. And rules to follow regarding personnel, partner, and customer files. When incorporated, protected against actions of affiliates, contractors, and partners, and obtain insurance to cover accidents or injuries. And to take a closer look and prepare for various ways one can cheat in a strategic alliance. We host our monthly meeting schedules for the directors, the planning committee, and our abuse prevention training schedules. And now I have finally made it to the programs. And so the programs that we have under Strengthening Families, programs, services, supports, and activities is the title. We have Stewards of Children as a program. Stewards of Children, Child Sexual Abuse Prevention Training is a youth servant organization, are magnets for offenders seeking access to children. Children who are sexually abused sometimes disclose the abuse to the adults working or volunteering for youth servant organization. Training agency organization employees, parents, and volunteers give them the tools to prevent high-risk situations from occurring and gives them the resources to spot the signs of possible abuse. I, Lenine, am a certified facilitator for Darkness to Light Stewards of Children, which is a nationally recognized training program. My cost of this service is $25 and includes an interactive workbook, 7 steps to prevention pamphlet, a certificate of completion, worth continuing education units. Restrictions do apply. You have to check your state's guides, and also include light snacks per participant. Our second is a support group, and it is called I Survived It support group. This support group is for victims and survivors of child abuse and neglect, females only for right now, intended to motivate participants to share stories, resources, set goals together, and hold one another accountable. Many of our children are being raised without the benefit of a strong and nurturing parent or parents. As resources decline in our economically torn world, we must not see the movement to end child abuse and neglect lose its significance. A damaged child turns into a damaged adult. Damaged adults fills our prisons to overflowing and become parents of unwanted children. With that, soldiers without weapons cannot fight this battle, and unfortunately, now more than ever, we must fight programs and services necessary to protect our children as we are soldiers in this battle. This program offers support, educational seminars, peer mentoring, and an emergency fund to parents of children who have been removed from their homes. There is no cost to attend group discussions. Brothers United in Detroit support group. Now, this group is similar to I Survived It support group, but for males only, especially those re-entering society, and there's no cost to attend group discussions. The next project was the Front Porch Project. The Front Porch Project is a national research-supported community-based initiative built upon the belief that all people who are concerned about the safety and well-being of children in their communities need to be encouraged and taught to make a difference. This concept is much the same as a good neighbor sitting on the front porch who in years past would have been aware and involved in solving problems affecting families they knew. American front porches were more than convenient sitting places. They served as networking centers where concerned friends could share information and devise support systems to help each other through difficult times. Strengthening Families has added this initiative to our wish list in hopes of collaborating with the American Humane Society for an effective lunch. So that's on the back burner. I think an exceptional project. I'm going to take a short break here. I ask that if you have not subscribed, that you do subscribe. And I hardly ever see likes. If you can give me a thumbs up. Again, I know this is a long video, but I have went back. I'm having to empty out and start over. So I'm coming back to the beginning of where this all started for Fly for 44. And it started under SFMD, Strengthening Families, for Strengthening Families Metro Detroit. Strengthening Families, speaking of, has an online training. And I know a lot has changed. So if you want any information with regards to this, reach out to the Center for the Study of Social Policy. Strengthening Families at the time of this post, well, not this post, but this writing, which is a part of my business plan, 51-page business plan for Strengthening Families Metro Detroit. Bear with me. The curriculum consists of an introduction, a module focused on each protective factor, each exploring one or two program strategies, and a final review and reflection module. The introduction can be used as a brief, standalone Strengthening Families one-on-one training, but will also serve as the introduction and overview for those who are going to complete the entire curriculum. Each module will include 2 to 4 testing options for those users who wish to complete a portfolio or seek credit for the training. The user's responses to all testing options will be compiled in a portfolio that can print upon completion. In the final module, the user will review all their testing responses so far and add their reflections. True, false, and multiple choice questions are easily scored, but we will need to develop a rubric for how to score short answer and reflective questions when the portfolio is submitted for credit in a state. Each protected factor module will include at least one brief activity that can be completed with a group or as an individual, with each user reaching to and reflecting on the activity and 1 to 2 short answer questions. In addition, each of these modules will include 3 questions to get learners thinking about changes they will make in their current practice. These answers will feed into an individualized action plan, IAP, designed to help the learner incorporate the lessons from the module into their current work with children and families and report on how their work or thinking have changed their participation in the training. This training may require some costs, but are property for the Center of the Study of Social Policy and the National Alliance of Children Trust and Prevention Funds. Empower to Change workshop is designed with a compilation of Linda Lamb, Empower to Change. She's an author. Strengthen Families' Protective Factors. Each interactive session completed in up to 3 hours, depending on participation level, with exercises, assessments, and reflections. The topics covered include, but not limited to, what is love? Do you know the difference between knowing how to love yourself compared to others? How do you put love into everything you do? Who are you? Where are you going? How will you get there? The cost of the workshop is $25 and includes an autographed copy of Empower to Change by author Linda Lamb and a meal and a drink. Also, introduction to starting an after-school program or a nonprofit organization. This is a 6-hour workshop. Will have information presented by professionals on the following topics: children in your care and how to protect them, the business of serving children and parents, accounting and bookkeeping basics, an entrepreneur's credit, how to get funding for your program or business, benefits of becoming a member of a business association. The workshop cost is $199 and includes materials on each topic, a certificate of completion, and a meal and a drink. We then have dinner and conversations. Dinner and Conversations is an easy-to-use method for creating a living network of collaborative dialogue around questions that matter in service of real work. Cafes and business have been named in many ways to meet specific goals, including creative cafes, knowledge cafes, strategy cafes, leadership cafes, marketing cafes, and product development cafes. Most cafe conversations are based on the principles and format developed by the World Cafe, and you can find out more information about that by visiting www.theworldcafe.com. A growing global movement to support conversations that matter in corporate and government and community settings around the world. Cafe conversations are also a provocative metaphor, enabling us to see new ways to make a difference in our lives and work. The metaphor enables us to see new ways to make a difference. The power of conversation is so invisible and natural that we usually overlook it. For example, consider all the learning and action choices that occur as people move from one conversation to both inside the organization and outside with suppliers, customers, and others in the larger community. What if we considered all of these conversations as one big dynamic cafe with each of the job functions as a table in a larger network of living conversations? Which is the core process for sharing our larger network, or of living conversation, which is the core process for sharing our larger network or living conversation, which is the core process for sharing our collective knowledge and shaping our future. Now that we are aware of the power of our conversation as a key business process, we can use it more effectively for our mutual benefit. Dinner and conversation are free. There is no cost to participants. Strengthening families. Youth in Action Support Group. I'm kind of seeing here. I did all this in my flight for Ford. This is not the updated one. But anyway, so we have more. We have, and you can tap in with me at a later date and I'll stretch it out for you. But more. We have Strengthening Families, Youth in Action Support Group. Strengthening Families, Youth in Action Advisory Council. So let me go back. The support group is organized and led by Youth for Youth with adult assistance, empowers youth to support and influence their community, sustain meaningful relationships with others, develop a positive self-image, participate in a democratic process, and respect their own and others' cultural identities. Expectations for this group is that participation will aid in developing the young people's capacity to engage in positive behaviors that nurture their well-being, help them to set personal goals, and develop the competencies to live successfully as self-sufficient adults. And there is no cost to participate. The Youth Advisory Council, where the youth get things done by acting as responsible members of the advisory council. They will get things done by acting as respectable members. They're role models who uplift one another in positive ways and hold one another accountable. They bring dedication to making a difference in their lives and the communities where they reside. Faced with apathy, they would take action. Faced with conflict, they would seek common ground. Faced with adversity, they would persevere. They would carry this commitment with them for life. They will make things happen because they take initiative to get things done, and there is no cost to participate. But council members must hold at least a 3.0 grade point average and be committed to serving a minimum of 1 year. We also have the Parent Partnership Program, which is a natural mentoring between parent to parent, and is a component of the Parent Partnership Parenting. So think of like a mentor program, but it's for parents, and there is no cost. However, participant must attend Spalding for Children's parent partner training and commit to at least one parent partner meeting a month. Oh, I'm loving to get back to this. Youth mentorship program called Mentoring Children Are Learning Leadership. And it's mentoring is a wonderful way to help a deserving child reach his or her potential. There is no cost to participate. However, mentors must take darkness to light training and will receive a $5 discount for that training. MACA, Million March Against Child Abuse Detroit. Big shouts out to the lady of the hour who started this tower. It debuted on April the 22nd, 2013, where we walked across the nation. Annual event, no cost to participate. I'm not sure if it's still going on, but if not, I'd like to pick it back up. And annual Safe Expo, if you're familiar with Kaylin. Safe Sisters Acquiring Financial Empowerment. Then we have the annual membership drive and dinner conversation, or annual dinner and conversation. And then we have Fly for 44. Fly for 44. Now, how did Fly for 44 come about? How did Fly for 44 come about? Fly for 44 came about when I realized who I was. A people pleaser. Putting others' needs before myself. So I did go in and I created a separate business plan for Fly for 44. Yeah, I did. And so let's see what I got here. Where are my documents? Okay, I am signed in. I'm gonna go to my dashboard. I'm in my Rocket Lawyer. I have an account with Rocket Lawyer where you can go and you can complete all kind of documents. I have my single member LLC operating agreement is in here. I was able to create a vendor's agreement, a shipping agreement, a business plan. I'm going to pull up this business plan I have for Fly for 44. And it says, Fly for 44, this information contained in this document is confidential and is to be read by authorized parties only. Please refer to the confidentiality agreement for further details. Now, why did I have it confidential? Oh, because I don't want anybody sharing my plan and stealing my ideas.
While there, if you enjoyed playing with us today, go ahead and leave us a positive review. If you did not, go to www.unitedairlines.com and tell them all about it. They'll be glad to assist you. On behalf of this Miami-based cabin crew, I'd like to thank you for choosing to fly with us. We do know that you have options. It has been our pleasure having you on board, and we hope to welcome you back again soon. Please enjoy your stay here in Miami or wherever your final destination may be. If this is home, welcome home.
Okay, this is a video. I know it has been a long one, but bear with me again. I'm going back to the drawing board and I'm trying to get an understanding, and I'm currently using the NOLO, how to write a business plan, and giving instructions on how to use this book to write the business plan. I'm going to read an insert from the book on how to. This book is organized more or less in chronological order, covering the main elements of a business plan. By chronological order, I mean the step-by-step writing process, not the calendar. The first few chapters cover some key issues which may or may not be relevant depending on your particular situation, including how writing a business plan can help you organize your thoughts, convince you that your business is a good or bad idea, and determine if you are the right person to own a business. How to choose a business to start and whether to write a complete plan or forget about your business idea. The point being that it's wiser to take a few moments to make a better decision than it to spend a lot of cash on a bad idea. Where to get the money you need to start your business, assuming you've convinced yourself that your business is a good idea, and how to prepare personal documents such as your resume and personal financial statements that some financial backers may want to see. In the book, it also covers how to complete a profit and loss forecast and cash flow forecast. The financial guts of the business plan, pointing to success or failure. How to prepare your marketing and personal plans for the business. How to compile all the work you've done in previous chapters into a polished and professional business plan to present to potential backers. At this point, you should be ready to sell your idea to backers, which emphasizes the importance of being flexible and listening to questions and comments from your audience, and changing your plan as necessary to successfully raise money. The final chapters present some advice on keeping your business successful. After all, you want your idea to work for a long time, just not just fold after a few months. Includes helpful resources for business planning and ownership. It includes a brief of how nonprofits might benefit from writing a business plan. And finally, in the appendix, it includes a complete business plan for a few different types of businesses in which you can model from. So, if you're ready to get started with your business plan, maybe you can work with me and minds, and we can kind of bounce off of each other and the tweaks. But anywho, I appreciate you. If you've stayed this long, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and hey, dig in, check out some more of my videos. I'm getting ready to work on my marketing plan, and with my marketing plan, I am using one of the United States Postal Services program for a cost-effective marketing called EDDM, which is Every Door Direct Mail. Again, thanks for watching.